Okay, so what if you could add a senior analyst to every single one of your global offices, like overnight, but without hiring a single person? It sounds kind of like science fiction, right? But that's exactly the promise of this new wave of AI, this AI workforce. And today, we're going to break down exactly how a global giant, Constellation Software, made that a reality.
And this quote right here from their VP of Global Finance just nails it. This isn't just about being more efficient. It's about being able to scale expertise. It reframes AI not as some tool, but as a new kind of talent, a new kind of teammate. But the real story here isn't just the outcome. It's the journey, the radical shift in thinking that actually got them there.
So yeah, how did they do it? Because this wasn't just about buying some software and plugging it in. To really get what a breakthrough this was, we first have to understand the sheer complexity of the problem they were facing, a problem that honestly almost every big, spread-out company deals with.
First up, let's just talk about scale. Constellation Software isn't just a big company. It's a massive, sprawling global enterprise. And that size, that scale, was creating a huge, huge headache.
I mean, they're operating in over 100 countries with 64,000 employees. And that's not just about being big. It's about being complex. Every single country has its own rules, its own policies. It created this tangled web that was becoming almost impossible to manage from the center.
So their whole model, which was designed to empower local teams, accidentally created this perfect storm of friction. Just think about it for a second. You've got different expense policies in every country. You've got constant updates to accounting standards, and you're always integrating new companies. This was leading to this massive bottleneck, where you'd have finance staff in, say, Asia, literally waiting a whole day for an answer from headquarters in Toronto because of the time difference.
And this table, well, it shows the painful reality. We're talking up to 6 hours just to find a single policy document, an overnight wait for even simple questions. And get this, every single question had to be escalated to a human being. The system wasn't just slow, it was completely broken.
So their solution wasn't to just build a better search bar or a fancier FAQ page. They realized they needed a whole new kind of teammate. They decided to deploy something called an agentic workforce.
Now this is the really important part to understand. Don't think chatbot. That's not what this is. Think more like a digital intern or a junior analyst. These are AI agents that are designed to do complex tasks all by themselves, like cross-referencing a new expense report with the very latest travel policy, without any hand-holding.
So why did they go with this specific platform? Well, it was kind of the perfect fit for their unique challenges. They had to feed it hundreds of finance manuals, and crucially, keep them constantly updated in real time. They needed it to speak multiple languages right out of the box. But the two real game changers were, 1, security. They needed super tight permissions to handle sensitive M&A data. And 2, this idea of a co-pilot feedback loop. This meant their own finance experts could directly train the AI, correcting its mistakes and teaching it the little nuances of their business. They got its accuracy up to 96% before a single regular employee even touched it.
Okay, so you found the right tool. Now, the big question is, how do you actually roll something like this out to 64,000 people without causing total chaos? Well, you do it very carefully with a very smart, phased approach.
This timeline is basically a masterclass in how to do this right. They didn't just flick a switch. First, they built the AI's brain, feeding it over 1,000 trusted documents. Then, and this is so important, they gave it to 75 of their most demanding users, the finance controllers, to really battle test it. Only after that expert group gave the thumbs up did they launch it company-wide. And they didn't even stop there. They moved on from just answering questions to actually automating tasks, like validating journal entries.
All right, so the strategy was solid, the rollout was smart, but what about the payoff? Did it actually work? Let's look at the numbers after just 6 months.
The results weren't just an improvement, it was a complete flip. Every single problem they started with was basically inverted. Policy lookup times just collapsed, wait times gone. And for the very first time, they could actually measure the workload being taken on by the AI. Let's dig into some of the biggest impacts.
First thing, speed. The time it took to find a policy went from hours of frustrating searching to less than 90 seconds. You know, that's the difference between a project grinding to a halt and getting an instant answer to keep things moving.
So in just 6 months, they had nearly 48,000 conversations with this thing, and a staggering 70% of them were fully handled by the AI agents. No human needed. That overnight wait time we talked about, it just vanished. Now this is a really key metric. This system wasn't about replacing people. It was about making them better. It absorbed the work equivalent of 2 full-time employees.
which freed up the company's best finance minds to focus on strategy and analysis, not digging through documents.
And finally, the bottom line. By handling this insane volume of queries, the AI directly meant they didn't have to hire 8 new support analysts just to keep up with company growth. That's a hard saving of nearly $1 million a year.
So, the results are obviously super impressive. But what's the playbook here? What are the big lessons that any company, any organization can learn from what Constellation did?
It really boils down to 3 key ideas. First, you have to treat your policies like data. That means stop thinking of them as these static PDF files locked away on a server. They used a process to turn all that text into a living, searchable knowledge base for the AI. Second, use your power users. Instead of months of guessing, they went straight to their expert controllers, whose feedback was the fastest way to get the AI super accurate. And third, you have to insist on a continuous sync. If the AI gives an answer based on last month's policy, you've lost all trust. The whole system had to be automated to make sure it was always using the absolute latest source of truth.
You know, in the end, this whole story is about unlocking human potential. By creating what was basically a 24/7 financial policy expert, they just eliminated all that tedious, frustrating work and empowered their finance team to do what they're actually best at: analyzing, strategizing, and driving the business forward.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. Constellation found our expertise trapped in finance manuals, but every single company has knowledge locked away in documents, in spreadsheets, in the heads of its most experienced people. So the question isn't just where your expertise is trapped, it's what new kind of teammate could you build to finally set it free.